What would you do if you woke up one morning and someone told you that you were a locked first round quarterback? And then less than a year later, they would tell you that you are going to fall to the seventh round. That is the reality for Garrett Nussmeier. Last summer, he was the golden boy of LSU. He was the projected number one overall pick. He was the man who would one day go on to save a franchise. And then April 2026 happened. He didn't go number one. He didn't even go in the first round. He sat there for 3 whole days watching 248 players get their names called before him. But here's the thing. If you think that Garrett Nussmeier is a bust, then you haven't been paying attention. Today, I am diving deep into the rise and potential fall of Garrett Nussmeier. Welcome to episode 14 of Kenya Knows. Let's dive into it. To understand why Garrett didn't crumble on draft day, you have to understand how he grew up. He is the son of a coach, and to a lot of people, you may think that he had it easy. He did not. Garrett moved 12 times across 8 different states before he even finished high school. 12 times. Imagine being the new kid that many times. Imagine having to prove yourself in a new locker room, in a new school, and in a new city over and over and over again. His dad, Doug, was a nomad in the coaching world.
Well, what a blessing to get the opportunity to come here to play in this game in front of all the NFL people. And, feel fortunate and blessed that he's got the opportunity to do that, and he's excited about it.
From the Saints to Michigan State to the Cowboys, Garrett didn't just learn a playbook growing up. He learned how to be resilient and he learned how to adapt to constant change. Nussmeier attended Edward S. Marcus High School in Flower Mound, Texas, where he passed for 3,700 yards and 38 touchdowns in his junior season. As a senior, he passed for 2,800 yards and 33 touchdowns with 5 interceptions in his senior year. He then went on to commit to play college football at LSU over offers from Texas, Texas A&M, Miami, Georgia, Baylor, and North Carolina. In 2024, Garrett finally got his shot at LSU after sitting behind a Heisman winner in Jaden Daniels. Today, most quarterbacks would have just hit the transfer portal if they knew they had to sit behind another quarterback. But he did not. He stayed in Baton Rouge, and in 2024, he had his breakout season. He threw for 4,000 yards. He had 29 touchdowns, and he led the Tigers to a 9-4 record, barely missing the playoffs. He had that gunslinger mentality that we love, sort of like a Brett Favre. He was fearless, a little bit risky, but he had that it factor. By the end of that season, the NFL scouts were watching him like a hawk. They were pretty much obsessed with his arm talent and his film. He was a first round lock, but he decided to stay in college for another year because he wanted a chance to win a national championship and possibly a Heisman. But then the 2025 season started, and that's when the wheels fell off. The 2025 season was a nightmare, not just for Garrett, but for the entire LSU team. Brian Kelly was fired mid-season, the team went unranked, and Garrett, he looked like a completely different player. People were calling him gun shy. They said he lost his zip, but what they didn't know, what he didn't tell us until his pro day, was that he was playing through a painful abdominal tear. Imagine trying to throw the ball down the field with a core that feels like it's being ripped apart every time you rotate like this. He also played behind the 12th ranked offensive line who struggled to run block throughout the entire season. So we had no run game. So basically, they were living and dying passing the ball, and he was injured and was always under pressure. He didn't even have elite wide receivers to throw to like his predecessors, such as Joe Burrow and Jaden Daniels did. He started 9 games that season and was eventually benched in the Alabama game, and his season was pretty much over. During the pre-draft process, a leak came out that the injury wasn't just a muscle strain. Medical tests at the combine found a cyst on his spine that was pressing literally on his nerve. That is insane. Now, I deal with sciatica pain every now and then, so I know what it feels like to have something or just pressure pressing on your nerve. It is uncomfortable and it is painful. So I can't imagine a quarterback who needs to use his arm, his shoulder, his back, his hips to turn and release the ball perfectly, but you have a back injury and an abdominal tear. That's rough. During the Senior Bowl, Garrett also explained how he re-injured his abdomen and how he was forced to forego the last 4 games of the season due to the injury.
Tuesday in practice, I tried to rip a throw and re-injured my ab. At the time, which we still thought was a core injury, right? And so we never really fully knocked it out. The play where I decided, hey, I can't do this, I was throwing a front side shallow. Immediately after I threw it, I bent over in pain. And so, at that point, I knew, like, if I can't throw a front side shallow, I'm not effective. I can't help my team win. It wasn't really a decision I was able to make to not play. It was kind of forced upon me.
For 6 months, his name dropped on every single draft board. He went from number 1 to undraftable for some teams. Can you imagine the mental toll that probably took on him? To go from the top 10 to undraftable, I imagine hit him harder than most people realize. But this is kind of where the rise starts to begin. Garrett gets healthy. He goes to the 2026 Senior Bowl and he plays well. He even wins MVP. He showed the scouts that the arm was still there, the poise was still there. Unfortunately, he was picked number 249 in the 7th round to the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, some people will tell you that being a 7th round pick is an insult. Personally, I do find it insulting when it comes to Garrett Nussmeier because there is no way he dropped all the way down to the 7th round behind other quarterbacks like Carson Beck and Drew Aller, who were drafted rounds ahead of him. However, the Chiefs did confirm that drafting Garrett was a long-term plan. Now, if you think about it, he does get to sit in a room with Andy Reid, one of the best offensive minds in the league. He does get to sit and learn behind one of the best quarterbacks in the league in Patrick Mahomes every single day, and he has zero pressure to start. He can heal, he can learn a system, and he can wait. Garrett himself even said, "It's not when, it's where." This is what Garrett also had to say about the opportunity to sit and learn behind Patrick Mahomes and under Andy Reid.
I'm just so excited, man. It's a great opportunity for me to learn and develop and be under a great coach and obviously behind one of the best quarterbacks of all time. So
he knows he is in the perfect situation for him to be able to learn and possibly get a chance to potentially become a franchise quarterback one day, sort of like a Sam Darnold or a Geno Smith. I will say that Garrett Nussmeier's journey teaches us that sometimes your fall is actually just a redirection. If he had gone number 1 to a struggling team with a bad offensive line, there's a chance he might have been out of the league in 3 years. Instead, he's a Chief. He is going to learn. He is going to have a shot to eventually become a starter for another team one day. He is a kid who moved 12 times. He stayed loyal to LSU when it was hard, and he played through a spinal cyst and an abdominal tear just to help his teammates hopefully make a playoff run and potentially win a national championship. And I think that speaks a lot to his leadership and to his character, that he is willing to put his body on the line when injured to help his team win. I am putting it on record right now. As a quarterback, Garrett Nussmeier is the biggest steal of the 2026 NFL Draft. I want to know what my girls and gals think. Will Garrett Nussmeier get a chance to be a franchise quarterback one day, or did injuries and bad coaching ruin his hopes and dreams? Let me know in the comments. Do not forget to like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm Kenya, and this is Kenya Knowles, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!